good morning.
That's a little different. That was all right.
Yeah,
That's
I think we're getting it polished up.
Yeah.
I'm liking what we're seeing here. It is November 8th. Welcome to another podcast from Sovereign Minds. I'm here in the studio with my sister Linda, as usual. I don't want to pound on the table.
Good morning.
And we have Tim Garman as our is it Garman?
Garman.
As our special guest from Happy Valley, and we'll introduce him a little better. I have some stuff to go on there, but we want to get our announcements and maybe a couple of clips out of the way first. If you like what you see and you want to consider supporting us, you can call 530-221-0101. We are on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble soon.
Yeah, a lot of platforms out there, folks.
If you like, hit the like button and, make sure that you share this because we got to get it out there, and smash the bell.
And smash the
bell for instant notifications. Okay, so.
And if you want to call in, the number here is 530-255-8063.
All right, very good. So let's go ahead and let's kind of set this up. Let's show how crazy the people we are dealing with is. Let's start with the Big Bird clip, and then we'll go to the new tactics clip, and then go from there. Eli, let's start with the Big Bird clip. This is what we're dealing with here now. The powers that be are so desperate for us to get vaccinated that now we're on Sesame Street. Advocate
my mask.
Those are such great questions, Big Bird, and it turns out lots of kids and families have questions too.
So, over the next half hour, we're going to be answering your questions, talking with experts, and giving you the information you need about vaccinations for kids.
You know what? Elmo better go change. See you later. Oh, come on! It's time for the town hall! Yay!
From CNN, the most trusted name in journalistic news.
Welcome to the ABCs of COVID vaccines, a CNN Sesame Street special town hall about COVID vaccines for children. They're now available for kids ages 5 and up. Joining me as always, Dr. Sanjay Gupta and Sesame Street's Big Bird.
Hey, Erica. Hey, Big Bird.
Hi, everyone.
Hello there.
Oh, and
hi, everybody.
Oh, hi, Granny Bird.
Oh, my goodness. Is that Dr. Sanjay?
This is insanity
Erica?
at the highest level.
It's so great to see you.
But it also shows
go
you.
Go ahead and ask your question, grandson.
Okay, Granny Bird.
They will pull no punches.
All right, my question is, my Granny Bird said that I might get the vaccine, and, well, what is a vaccine?
Well, that is a good place to start, right? Think about it like this, Big Bird. Your body has a lot of these teeny tiny helpers that are there to protect you. What the vaccine does is train those helpers to fight the virus. That way, if you ever get COVID germs, your body knows just what to do to beat it, and that can help you from getting sick. You know, you've been getting all kinds of vaccines since you were a little bird, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, except that none of those were like, on emergency use authorization with no clinical trials, no long-term testing.
They were a little different.
Being slammed down our throats, whether we like it or not. Go ahead and play that other clip because I want to set this up, and I don't want to, put any words in Tim's mouth here by any stretch of the imagination.
Before we get
He's got his own stuff, but this is kind of the start of where this is. What started you getting into the public eye is the mandated vaccines.
But before we go there, is that clip we just watched? Is that what they're showing on TV?
Yeah, that was on CNN. Yeah, and then,
well, I know it's CNN, but is that like a Sesame Street program? I would assume.
I don't know. You know what's interesting? One thing to take from that is the doctor is the same doctor that was on the Joe Rogan show. That Joe Rogan basically said, "You guys are liars over at CNN. How do you defend this and that type of thing?" And it's just you can't even make this stuff up. This I ran across this and I was like, I thought this was a joke at first. I did. I thought it was a joke, and then I played it, and it's like they're really not joking. They're serious about this. Go ahead and play it, Eli, and let's listen to this for a minute.
The first one. Wow.
I think it was at the library. The 1996 Olympics.
Nicole Greenbaum's bar mitzvah.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was supposed to do with it.
Well, when you get it, it's kind of on your mind nonstop.
Oh, my.
I remember really wanting to get mine for the first time.
Oh, jeez.
And when I finally did,
Oh, my God.
I was so happy.
Definitely get them multiple times a day.
I'd say more than 6.
I don't remember every single one of them, but they're all special in their own way.
Walking the street, in a meeting.
On my commute, giving a presentation for a class.
Oh, I got one at a county fair once.
I guess you could say they're a pretty big part of my life. Actually, it's the only thing I give a damn about.
Nowadays, when I get one, I try to hang on to it as long as possible.
Crazy.
It's an extension of myself. There's honestly nothing quite like them.
If I couldn't have one, it would be devastating and kind of boring.
Men who have had COVID are 6 times more likely to develop erectile dysfunction.
I'm sorry, what? 6 times more likely.
That's correct.
What are you guys doing? Go get the vaccine. We're talking about your future boners here, okay? I mean, I would cut off my own dick to protect my future boners. Okay, as I think about it, it doesn't make sense logically to cut off my own dick to save my future dick, but you know what I'm saying. It's just important.
It's actually pretty simple.
Get vaccinated, guys. Do it for your penis.
Oh, my God.
they're serious. This is
Trust us. We're penis doctors.
Whoa.
Listen
We're
to the
penis
doctors.
doctors?
These are penis doctors, not just your normal doctors. These are doctors of the penis. They
I
went to
would
a
kinda
penis
venture to say
college
that they're
where they studied
dick
everything that there is
doctors.
to know about your penis.
I mean, am I the
Wow.
only one here? Am I the only one here? It's like, I can't even believe it.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I've had COVID, and I can tell you that stuff is false.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, I'm sorry to say, I had it too.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm up and running.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
It is, and we're dealing with people that are insane here. We really are.
And some of the medical science shows that it's actually the opposite with the vaccine. I hate to tell the guys. Just saying.
I mean, so
good luck there.
It shows to me how desperate they are to get this vaccine out there. And with that, let's introduce our guest here.
Well, I don't know. He may want to leave the room after that, you know? I mean, what kind of show are you guys
forward
running?
to what's next.
Wow.
I mean, so the reason I did that is because this is what kind of got your hat thrown in the arena to begin with, is because they were doing mandatory vaccines.
I was going to say, maybe you got to keep going here. You can't leave it hanging there.
On the kids, you know, and maybe we should have flipped the order on that and went to the Big Bird thing last. But the real deal is, and I have another clip that we can play after we talk a little while that completely refutes and shows the data that these guys are completely ignoring about the danger here. Yeah. I mean, So we met originally at the Board of Supervisors meeting. It was briefly, and I had done a little bit of a talk up there talking about what was happening. And so since then, you would not enforce the mandates for required vaccinations from our Lord High Governor down in Sacramento under an emergency authorization. And maybe it was before an emergency authorization act that, you know, is illegal in my opinion, based on the information of not overwhelming services and so forth. And then they have the power to stop this whole thing anytime they want with a vote of 3-2.
Yep.
And I think that's where you started getting into this, is that you started thinking, you know, I need to run. And there was a debate, a week or so ago now, I guess.
Yes, it was a week ago. And actually, can we back up? Did you say his name? If you did?
If I didn't, I'm going to say it again.
Yeah. Let's get his name out
Tim Garman.
there. Yes, thank you. Just so the listeners and the viewers know exactly.
And you are the president of Happy Valley Union School District.
That is correct.
And so I guess you, I'm looking at an article here that you hand-delivered your papers to be a candidate for District 2, which is Modi's district, who he holds a special place in my heart of
I bet.
Hearts. I think he does, and everybody, a lot of people's hearts right now because of everything that he's done.
I do not like him. I think he's a despicable human being. in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I liked what you had to say at when you were asked questions like on the Second Amendment and gee, do you believe in open carry? And
Absolutely.
We don't have to go into that.
Yeah.
But tell me about yourself, how you got to be the school president or the school Union School District president.
The school board president.
Okay, can I just back up even a little further and say
Sure.
when I first ran for that position?
Sure.
Okay, that would have been in 2016. There was 2 open spots on the board. One of the outgoing members had asked me to run for one of the positions. All 5 of my kids had gone kindergarten through 8th grade. My youngest was a freshman in high school at that point. So I thought, well, I don't have any kids here. I don't need to do this. I'm done. And the outgoing person said, yeah, but it's still your district. You still live here. You still need to be part of your community.
So so in other words, you hit your head on the door jamb on the way out.
Basically. So I decided, I still didn't want to do it. I was still fighting with myself. I still say, no, I don't want to do that. Politics is never my thing. Even if the school board, no.
It's a dirty business, no matter how you slice it.
I'm realizing that.
Yeah.
So fast forward a couple weeks later, I jump in my wife's van, and she always listens to K-Love. And there was a little blip in the morning with one of the people talking about Christians need to get involved with their local elections, no matter how small they are, even if they are school boards.
Yes.
I'm like, all right, God.
Especially. I think it should be.
Okay, I got the message. Ding, 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 ding.
I got the message, and I still didn't want to hear it.
I think it's especially if it's school boards and the boards of supervisors.
Yeah, absolutely. But I didn't want to even hear that. But I'm like, okay, there's more here than meets the eye.
Right.
So I made a deal with God. So we all know how that turns out. I said, all right, I'll put my name in the ring, but I'm not going to campaign. I'm not going to put up a sign. I'm not going to do anything. And if it's your will, then I'll be on the board.
So you got it right off the bat.
I was done.
You started doing the dictating, and it doesn't really work that way.
It didn't work. So anyway, there was, I think, 5 people running for the 2 spots, and of course I got elected.
Sure.
And then first couple of years on the board, just kind of getting your feet wet, understanding how it all works and whatnot, not being into politics or that kind of stuff before. Fast forward, I've been a board president the last 2 years. Normally it's a 1-year cycle and somebody else steps in, but they wanted me to stay on it for the 2nd year because of COVID. Last year, I believe we were the #1 school in Northern California for days open, with our kids actually in class learning. So we wanted to kind of keep that rolling.
Right.
And then earlier this year, when rumors started flying around that Newsom was going to come down with a mandate to get about the vaccines for kids, I'd actually had a conversation with our superintendent saying, I don't believe our board's going to support that. You need to probably start looking at options for us.
Sure.
Beforehand. I'm a proactive type of guy. I don't like to be reactive later because there's no time to really do anything about it at that point in time. Fast forward, this was, I think, on a Tuesday I had the conversation. Later that week, Newsom makes his announcement. Okay, so our next board meeting, we kind of discussed it, and one thing led to another. We got it on the agenda as a discussion action item about mandates for kids, and we discussed it with the audience as well as our board and the superintendent, and we voted unanimously 4-0 to not enforce vaccines on kids when it becomes available. The flip side of that, our legal people and our superintendent are all saying we jumped the gun. There's nothing to really vote against because it's not in place yet. The story we're getting from public schools is just wait, just wait, just wait, just wait, just wait. Well, you do that, at some point, there's no more time to wait, and there's no more time to take any kind of action.
Right.
And that's what we're up against. So since we've done that, there have been schools all the way up and down California. There's at least, I think, over 30 now that have jumped on board. Some of them have sent stuff to the governor. That they're just not going to do it.
It's kind of like the sheriffs saying that we're not going to enforce this. It's crap because if they're breaking the law in Sacramento, the fact that you say you're not going to enforce a law that's not really a law is
that's where it gets a little tricky, right?
Instead of standing up and saying we're not going to support this at all, it's completely wrong.
And then the battle we face is your superintendents, your teachers. If they don't follow the law from Sacramento our dictators passing out, they could lose their credentials.
Right.
Okay.
And their pensions. There's a lot of risk here. Their jobs.
For them, there's a lot of risk. So I can see why there's kickback on their side of it. But at the end of the day, I'm going to do everything in my power to have those kids not vaccinated. And if it comes down to where I can't, and I lose that battle, I will resign that position. I will be zero part of ever telling a kid they have to take a vaccination.
Well,
won't do it.
there's been they all talk about the science, and they all talk about, from the left, that it's about the kids. It's not about the kids. It's not about the science. It's about control. It never was, because when you look at the data, has any child died in Shasta County from a COVID?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
Okay. But what's more important to me is it's not even a law. They're just making it sound like it's a law, and they're intimidating people and holding their diplomas or whatever over their heads, their jobs, and I get that.
Yeah.
But it's not a law, and if people realize that, they can't really enforce it if people just stand up and say no.
Well, what attracted me to you is the fact that you had some backbone. You stood up and said, "Hey, this is wrong."
Somebody had to,
right?
And and I remember conversations early on. Well, we don't want to be the first. Well, neither do I. But there is nobody else being the first.
Right.
I'm not so sure that we actually were by the way it sounds now. But the point is, if you... I hate to bring up an Old West analogy, but when you were a coward back then, you got ran out of town.
Right.
And we're dealing with a bunch of cowards right now. People don't want to stand up. They don't want to get off the couch. They don't want to make the phone call. They don't want to do the email. We got to stand up for our rights. Otherwise, we're not going to have any. And we're already seeing them disappear right and left.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old saying, "You're yellow."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You're yellow.
It's time.
You're yellow.
It's time to stop straddling the fence.
Absolutely.
Okay, and pick a side and go.
Totally agree. And this is why there's so much political hesitancy, if you will. Is that people don't want to get it. They, we want to be left alone. We want to live our lives. We want to not get engaged because it's easier to just do whatever we want in a free society. But when you get to a point where it's not a free society anymore, that is the experiment called self-government. And that's why Christians and people that aren't left-leaning need to get involved too. Otherwise, they're not getting any representation at all.
Yeah.
And it also tells you kind of where some of the people are coming. I don't want to be the first person. What difference does it matter if you're the first person if what you do is right?
Yeah. Others will follow.
You're going to have integrity.
Others will follow if you're right.
You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah. Well, it's true.
I
mean, I've always had the mindset that I don't care if I'm the only one if I'm standing alone, if I believe in what I'm doing,
that's the way it should
that's the
be.
Way it should be. You should stand up for what is right.
No matter who's watching or what. If you truly believe it's right.
Especially when nobody's watching.
Well, there you go. That's how you have integrity. But so many of these people but you're seeing more and more people starting, even though they're not the first. I don't want to put too many people down with that. They are starting to come together on this.
You're seeing a lot of people come together.
Yep. So what do you think is the biggest issue other than just the vaccines and that with the kids? I mean, as far as, being on the board of supervisors, you don't want to be a one-trick pony either.
Well, no. I'm going to back up a little bit to the kids. I'm fighting for public education. Okay. I feel like if they come down and they force this mandate on the kids, we saw in the walkout, 50% of the kids were absent in public school. As a board president, it's my job to keep the doors open, the teachers paid, the bus drivers going. What happens if we lose half of our kids?
Well, the problem,
right? Which employee? Obviously, you take
what employees do you get rid of?
Right. You have the seniority, so we're going to lose half of our employees. We'll have to close the school, if not all of our schools. Then what does that do to public education?
Do they
have to save it.
Do they jerk the funding immediately on something like that?
It depends. There's different protocols to different schools. Some schools lost hundreds of thousands of dollars on the one-day walkout.
Okay.
And I've talked with some of them, and they are actually going to take some legal action and sue because they realize it'll be cheaper to sue and try to get a stay on this or get an injunction as opposed to having our kids gone once a month.
Right.
So there's that avenue which we may take as well. We don't know. It's all kind of up in the air, but we'll be discussing it here in our board meeting hopefully this week.
We polled our kids. We're not doing it. We're not doing any of it.
Well, that makes me sad as a school board president. That makes me sad because I feel like kids need public education, the socialization part of it as well. And in my case, we live in one of the poorest districts in the state of California. Our kids depend on that for breakfast, for lunch, for a safe place.
Well, we pulled them out of public schools. We're actually having them taught in a private environment by teachers that we know and trust.
Yeah.
And so they are getting the socialization and I think maybe a better learning environment, I think, is what I'm looking at.
Probably so, but you get to your poor districts and those people don't have those options.
Well,
I was going to say that makes it,
and that's where my job is on that hat. If I got the school board hat on, is to keep that school open at all costs.
See, that's what makes it so bad. Yeah, that's what makes it so bad, because you are one of the poorest districts.
Yep.
There's a lot of that in Northern California.
There's a lot of it in Shasta County, right?
Yeah, in Shasta County. And like you say, the kids have a safe place to get meals. I mean,
so it's great.
Thank goodness you have, you're doing more for them than a lot of areas for the kids. Yeah. Not just the education
It's not just
piece.
education. It's a safe place. It's a place to eat.
Right.
It's awesome that you're fighting for that, because I'm in a position where I don't have to put up with that. And I would rather have them in public
If I'm
school.
in your position, I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Truly, I
tough.
would as a parent. So fast forward the supervisor thing. Again, I never planned on doing anything like that. I went to a few supervisor meetings and realized we have a board up there that's afraid to even write a letter to Sacramento.
They don't give a crap.
They could care less about the people of Shasta County. They're working for Sacramento.
Yeah.
Okay. And I realized something has to give here. Something has to give. And when the recall signatures were counted, there was enough for Modi. I said, you know what? Maybe I can make a bigger difference here. Okay.
Right.
So that's why I threw my name in a hat there. And you asked some of the other issues that bother me. I've had family leave town over the last 8 to 10 years, 5 years. It's just like more and more are going. More families are going to move to Iowa next year. They're in Tehama County, but still the North State, we have these problems.
Right.
We have to figure out how to keep our people here. We have a major drug problem on our streets, a major crime problem. Yeah. We need a bigger jail. So that's one of the issues that I will hopefully fight for as well.
So you've been to a few of the meetings. We've been going to the meetings for a long time, and we've seen this now for years, that these guys don't give a crap. And at that meeting that I met you at, in the morning, I yelled out of the audience, "It's about the money!" And of course, Modi came back with, "Oh no, it's not about the money." Well, after lunch, they came back, and the first thing out of not the first thing, but out of Chimente's mouth comes, "How much money's at risk?"
Yeah.
And then the attorney comes back with, like $42 million.
It's about the money.
So it's not about the money, but
it is about the money. Once again, it goes back to the money piece.
Yeah, and that's what this whole Emergency Authorization Act, in my opinion, is. Yeah. Other than, Pfizer, I mean, we're seeing more and more of Pfizer's footprints all over the media and everything else, and they got a dog in the hunt. They made $26 billion this last year. But these guys, I believe, think that they're protecting the county, other than maybe Modi, because I think Modi's got his self-interest in mind, period. Everybody says Joe's a good guy. I don't know Mary Rickards at all, but I think they're in their minds, I think they've justified taking this money so that they can keep the county going. But they hired 100 more people. Yeah. I mean, Randstrom's getting like $300,000 a year. Yep. I mean, you look at the salaries and keep stuffing money into
and then what's that going to do later on with the pensions and all that when retirement time comes? How are we going to pay for that?
Well, I think that's part of it.
I mean, you got to look at this whole picture and
well, we know CalPERS is in trouble.
Absolutely.
I went to their prospectus. I do taxes and financial planning for a living. And so I said, well, let's see, we hear about these guys that are in trouble. And I went and looked at the perspective. They were invested in Iranian oil wells. I mean, anything green. So their investment strategy down in Sacramento and other places is based on a environmental agenda, not necessarily for the best interest of the people that they're supposed to be, building a retirement plan for.
So one of my questions is when and if you get elected to the Board of Supervisors, what is one of the first things you would like to change or get involved in to make a change, or what's your hot button there?
I like to see, it's a great question. How do we take our county back? How can we support our kids? What can we do to stop these mandates? Let's open up the county fully. I'm tired of this shutdown stuff. And I know we're pretty much open, but you still go into restaurants. Some people are wearing masks. I don't care if somebody wants to wear a mask.
No, right.
But I have the right not to, just as they have the right to. But don't force us to show a vaccine card. Don't force us to wear a mask. Just get this thing opened up.
I want to roll a clip.
And there's a lot more. Once I get started, I can probably come up with more.
I want to roll a clip
go ahead.
and go back to the vaccine. This is a little.
Okay.
This is a clip. This is the one on Facebook for Greg, and I want to roll this because when we talk. I want to go with the other one. That one, and. I want to look at some of the evidence coming that has been, basically deleted because our mainstream media meatheads, and I like to refer to Mike Mangas as much as possible because, these guys don't report anything that doesn't, I guess it's their paycheck. I don't know what it is.
Well, that's what a lot of it is their paycheck. That's why they don't report it.
But this is a Board of Supervisors meeting. I believe it's Florida. The other one was Florida, but maybe it's Texas. I'm not sure. County something, but this shows data that if nothing else, if you, do we trust CNN after? CNN has lied at every juncture. The mainstream media has lied at everything.
The Big Bird thing from CNN.
I'm not saying that this is even correct as much as I'm saying that this other point of view should be examined as well.
Absolutely.
To see if there's truth here. Okay, we know the other guys have been lying to us. I have a tendency to go towards other people that are not lying to me. Okay, if I haven't found any provable lies here yet, where I found tons of provable lies over on CNN. All right, so go ahead and roll it, Eli, and let's see what this guy has to say.
Hi, my name is Scott Youngblood. I'm a physician, and I'm here to defend science and patient autonomy. Next slide. The best way to look at any medical issue is with a randomized controlled trial. A well-performed RCT is more powerful than dozens of observational studies because it has a control group. That's what Pfizer did to evaluate its vaccine to get an EUA. It had 44,000 patients, 2 large groups, essentially equal in all respects, except one group gets the vaccine and the other group gets the placebo. Next slide. Everyone has heard that the study showed excellent vaccine efficacy with a lower rate of symptomatic infections over 6 months. Next slide. It was also great in preventing severe COVID cases. These patients are really sick. You have a high heart rate, respiratory failure, renal, hepatic, neurologic dysfunction, ICU admission, and death. There was only 1 case of this in the vaccine group and 30 cases in the placebo group. Next slide. But what hasn't been talked about is the increased adverse events for the vaccine. Total adverse events twice as high, related adverse events 4 times as high, severe adverse events twice as high. Essentially, those are hospitalizations, heart attacks, strokes, myopericarditis, Guillain-Barré, etc. All of these differences were highly statistically significant. Next slide. And the endpoint that we should all care about the most, which is all-cause mortality, this is the great endpoint because it ends all of this silly arguments about what caused the death. Was it the vaccine, the virus, or something else? You just total up the deaths, and at the end of 6 months, you look at them. And in this study, 15 patients died in the vaccine group versus 14 in the placebo group. And then the patients were unblinded and allowed to cross over if they had gotten placebo and wanted the vaccine. 5 additional patients who got the vaccine died, but none who remained in the placebo group died. This mortality difference is not statistically significant. It doesn't prove anything other than scientifically one cannot say that this vaccine saves lives. Next slide. And this raises the big question, if the vaccine is so effective against the virus, preventing infections and severe COVID, then why didn't it save lives at the height of the pandemic against the Alpha variant? The most likely answer is that the risks of this vaccine essentially canceled out any COVID benefit from the vaccine. Regardless, there was no death benefit. Next slide. And that really is the big problem with this obsessive fixation on COVID infections and death. Is it the vaccinated or the unvaccinated that misses half the problem? The adverse events and deaths from the vaccine. If you survive the vaccine, you will probably be better off when you meet the virus, especially early on, but at what cost? Indeed, the Taiwan Department of Health states right now that slightly more people have died from the COVID vaccines this year than the virus itself. Next slide. The problem is the alpha spike protein, which all the vaccines make. It's a toxin in and of itself. It binds to your ACE2 receptors around your body, which are critical in regulating blood pressure, clotting, immune system. Having spike in your body attacking these receptors is a big problem. Next slide. We've been told not to trust VAERS, but it is the only database available. All the COVID vaccines were also granted EUAs with the requirements removed for ethics boards, data safety monitoring boards, or critical event committees. All of these are customary for anything on an EUA. We are for some reason intentionally flying blind. OSHA just said they are suspending the rule for employers to report adverse events due to mandated COVID vaccines. As an ethical physician, I cannot defend anything on this slide. Next slide. So VAERS is an early warning system, so if a problem is identified, it can be investigated further. It is 31 years old. It is voluntary. There is significant underreporting. Submission of a false report is subject to prosecution, and the CDC validates all these entries. Over 150,000 have been removed just this year. Next slide. There were about 158 deaths on average per year associated with all vaccines. And then something happens in January of 2021. We now have over 17,000 deaths reported just for the COVID vaccines. I would submit to you that as an early warning system, VAERS is working exactly as intended. We are just not listening to it. Next slide. Nearly 40% of these deaths occur within 48 hours of the shot. It is not until day 40 or so that the death rates return to baseline. If there was no relation, you would see that the low baseline on the right of the graph would be all the way over to the left. Something is happening at day 0 to cause these deaths, and it's pretty obvious what that is. Next slide. The CDC states that any death within 28 days of a positive test, regardless of cause, counts as a COVID death. You could get run over by a cement truck crossing the street, but if your COVID test 3 weeks ago was positive, you are counted as a COVID death. On the other hand, anything within 28 days of a vaccine is not related to the vaccine. Imagine the world that we would live in if these assumptions were reversed. This is illogical and indefensible. Next slide. During the Pfizer vaccine brief before the EUA last October, this slide was flashed up for about 1 second. It lists out all the adverse events that eventually turned up in VAERS months later. Heart attack, strokes, myocarditis, pericarditis, Guillain-Barré syndrome, blood clots, deaths, and enhanced vaccine disease. Regardless, the FDA granted the EUA without any mention of any of this in the notices to physicians or patients. They knew about it and apparently said nothing. Perhaps the fact checkers can defend this, but I cannot. Next slide. On August 23rd, the FDA sent out 2 letters. The first approved the Comirnaty vaccine, and the second extended the EUA for the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, the same formulation but legally distinct. To this day, there are no FDA-approved COVID vaccines that are actually available in the United States. Comirnaty is not available. So if the FDA approves the vaccine, but it is not actually available to anyone, it begs the question, did the FDA actually approve the vaccine? Next slide. In late July, the CDC stated the viral titers of saliva in the vaccinated are just as high as the unvaccinated. This was the justification to make everyone put their masks back on. The viral levels in your saliva are the measure of how infectious you are. Thus, claims that the unvaccinated are spreading the disease and paradoxically putting the vaccinated at risk are all nonsensical. This fact alone destroys the infectious spread justification for vaccine mandates. Next slide. In the age of Delta, vaccines do not meaningfully reduce transmission or stop infections. They do not reduce overall medical resource utilization, as we showed. The best evidence available shows that they do not reduce mortality. And since it uses the alpha spike protein, you will get 100% of the risks, but only 40 to 60% of the benefit in the age of Delta. The virus has moved on. The vaccines produce narrow immunity that encourages new variants. Their efficacy wanes after 6 to 8 months. And for COVID survivors, it likely produces no long-term benefit, and they are known to have a 2 to 6 times higher rate of adverse events. Likely no benefit, just harm. Having said all of this, they may offer a personal health benefit to these vaccines, but that analysis needs to be individualized. Next slide. The bottom line is that this issue is really complicated. The decision for COVID vaccination should be left up to the patient in consultation with their doctor. There is no medical or scientific justification for COVID vaccine mandates by a government or employers. Thank you.
I mean, I think that it was a fairly long clip, but it covered a ton of ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with a lot of laid out evidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
And anybody, I mean, I think that we have a responsibility to our kids to not vaccinate them until we know what's going on.
How many kids have died in Shasta County?
None.
Well, so why put them through all that harm and those risks, right? It just
exactly.
Well, I got that.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Go ahead.
Can I show you a picture?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to explain it to you after you look at it.
Okay.
See, it says 102 on the bottom, with the black on the bottom.
Oh, yeah, I do. It says 102 on the bottom.
Okay.
It's a package of.
Okay. No, it's a package of my blood.
I thought it was tubes in there. But sure.
I'm part of a trial study at UCSF for type 1 diabetes.
I see.
Okay. 2 of my daughters are type 1 diabetics. I have 4 of the 5 autoantibodies that cause it. I've been involved with the study for 102 months. That's 8.5 years. The study should end later this year or early next year, according to the doctors down there. But I don't know if I got the placebo or the actual medicine. I don't know. It's a blind study. That's how you study medicines.
Right.
You
And
just don't come out
that.
overnight and do that.
Right, yeah.
You know, in the first year, I went down and had 14 infusions in the first 12 months of the study. Okay, that's I don't mind getting involved in helping find cures or stuff that's going to help, but it has to be done the right way. Coming up with the medicine overnight and saying, "Oh, take this," and look at the death rates that thing showed, and how it peaked, right over, then it leveled back out. That was really scary to watch. So thank you for sharing.
And also, did you notice it said that OSHA waives the mandate?
Yeah.
So how does that work? OSHA says no to the mandate, FDA and them say yes to the mandate.
I have an even more scary report. If you want to pull up that PDF I just sent you, Eli.
I mean,
this is from a whistleblower inside the, and this is by Dr. David John Sorensen and Vladimir Zelenko, MD.
Oh, yes.
And this is, shows that, this report, and I'm not going to cover it completely, but it shows that, roll it down, and it talks about, anybody wants this report, I'll post it, but there's 5 times more death. This is a CDC whistleblower signing a sworn affidavit saying that they're underreporting the deaths by 5 times. And we just heard from before that, it's around 17,000 people have died. If it's underreported by 5 times that, we're talking about some serious death that these guys are covering up.
Right. And in the past with vaccines and stuff, I do believe, like with the flu virus vaccines and stuff, if they had more like 9 deaths or something, they would pull the vaccine for for that disease.
No. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're talking way over 9 or 15 or whatever it was.
It's crazy. Now let's bring it all back to Shasta County.
Okay.
Let's
do it.
So we've kind of, I think, shown that there should be some vaccine hesitancy here. And we've also shown that the Board of Supervisors should be listening to some of this.
Should be listening to all of it.
You think?
Yeah.
And that's been our problem from the beginning. Oh, they're being attacked. It's their families. Number one, those guys, I don't even going to go there. But the real deal is they haven't listened to any of this.
Right.
All they've done is listen to Sacramento, done whatever they're told, and
taking that money, right?
And taking the money.
Taking the money.
There you go.
So are you for a forensic audit?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
That's what I've been asking for a long time.
And I just realized one hasn't been done. Why?
Good question.
To me, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Okay, come in. Let's clean this up. Let's see what's going on.
I think that's what they're afraid of is that people are going to find out what is going on, especially in light of the district that you're running in. Modi got convicted by the grand jury, and the phrase was changed from malfeasance to misfeasance. One is a crime, and then I guess an attorney was there. I missed that day at the Board of Supervisors. That he should still be prosecuted.
Yeah, he should still have charges brought
That's
against
the guy's spot you're running for.
Yes. Like I said, we want to clean it up.
We've been requesting an audit for years. What comes to mind is the sales tax. Remember last year, 2 years ago, when they brought up Measure A or whatever for the sales tax, and we kept saying, well, if you do an audit, we probably could find the money.
Right.
If we go line by line, let's see where the money's going. Where's it being spent? And no, they couldn't do that. That because then it would expose. To what they are doing with the money.
My theory is that, based on the last money that came in from CARES, $3 million and some change or whatever went out to the businesses, the rest went into the county general fund, basically, is I think they know that based on what has been reported that their CalPERS pensions are in deep trouble. So they're using this money to shore the county up, because otherwise the general fund would be paying all these bills. Now this money comes in from CARES, and they can not only hire more people and give more bonuses, they can also shove more money to try to catch up, which I believe is impossible at this point. I think it's going to be bankrupt at some point because they're not reporting all the numbers. If anybody wants to read about some of this stuff, read the Robert Kiyosaki, James Siebel, I think it is, book. It's called Who Stole My Pension? Because this is a nationwide problem of these guys not operating these pensions properly. And so that's what I think that from their perspective is about. But they're not fixing anything, and not listening to the people. And you've had the room filled full of people.
Well, you can tell that when at the meetings, even online, because I'm not able to attend a lot of times live. You can see they're sitting there, and the people are talking, doing their 3 minutes, hour after hour, and Modi especially. You can see that he's already made his decision. He's like pretty much telling the people, "Screw you."
Yeah,
I'm done.
So the first observation I had, the first supervisor meeting I ever attended, was people are up there. Those people are taking their 3 minutes, and they're giving you a heartfelt thought, whether they're for you or against you. They're giving you a heartfelt conversation for 3 minutes that they thought long and hard about, drove there, took the time to sit down. Okay, and you see these supervisors, and the 3 of them, in my opinion, were looking right at the speaker, really listening to what they were saying. Modi was sitting here staring at the wall straight ahead. Okay, could care less.
Right.
And then the other one was kind of, every once in a while she'd glance over. That was my first observation. And in our school board meetings, okay, we have the same thing. You have public comment, which we could cut off after 20 minutes. Okay, It's a little bit different. I have never cut it off after 20 minutes. If somebody took the time to drive in there, I want to hear what they have to say. It's going to make me make a better educated decision if I'm listening to my constituents. And at
that debate, one of the questions that was asked, and I was a little disappointed in everyone's answer, and the question that was asked was, what is the legitimate function of the government, whether it's the Board of Supervisors, the state? What is the first priority in the function of any governing body in the United States that's following the Constitution?
Yeah, I don't know how I answered that. I don't remember. But we work for the people.
Well, the way this is why I'm a little disappointed in the answer. I think the answer should have been to secure the rights of their constituents. Okay, that's what the Constitution is really about. Is to secure it. And I'm not saying anything to disparage you or the other people that were at the meeting, as much as I'm saying that should be the number one priority. And in the present Board of Supervisors structure, these guys don't give a crap about their securing our rights.
Nope.
They give a crap about securing
their rights.
Well, the money
it's the money.
It's the money.
It's the money.
And they're supposed to protect us. They are supposed to protect us. That's one of their main.
I'm not sure we can stand any more of their protection the way things are going.
You know what I mean. They take our best interests again. Look at what we want and what's for the best for the people, not for them or their agenda. And they don't do that. And it's quite evident. Well, let's go back to Modi. If he really gave a crap, why did he go take care of his house and let everybody else's burn? I mean, just things like that. I'm just saying,
And I don't want to focus on Modi too much. Obviously, we have an axe to grind with Modi, obviously.
But he's not the only one. He's not the only one. There's a few up there. We need to change a lot.
But I would like to get to a more positive direction of what we can do. I mean, what can we do to fix this? Forensic audit, listening to the people, securing our rights, not necessarily complying with all the mandates. So what would you add to that?
As far as positive things?
Yeah. Just what you would do when you get there. If you guys get control of the board.
Okay. Well, if the board votes that way, what I would like to see done is, like I said, a bigger jail. Okay. You could attach some mental health stuff to it too, but it doesn't need to be crazy because we do have some services here. No taxes. We don't need a tax increase. I do want to see the forensic audit. I want to see where the dollars are at with everything. But there is no way I've never voted for a tax increase, nor will I ever push for one. Okay? There's a reason why people leave this state, and that's one of them.
That is one.
Okay? It is one of them. Okay, there have been many times I've gone up and gone Christmas shopping in Oregon. Why?
It's cheaper.
It's cheaper, right? Yeah. Oh, it's only a hop, skip, and a jump. Oh, by the way, I can fill up my gas tank for $1 a gallon less too while I'm there.
That's a long time. That was a long time.
It was, but you get the point. Okay, so I'm not in favor of that. The crime that's on the streets, I'm tired of seeing, like I said, tired of seeing my family leave. Right. That's a positive. We gotta.
What would we do about the crime?
Well, we got to build a bigger jail. We got to prosecute, and if that means to do a district attorney or whatever that looks like, we have to take those steps. What I'm sick of, and I don't know the hard numbers here, but I've seen over the last 10 years the homeless population in this county is growing to where it's probably in the thousands. Okay, yet our population in general has probably gone down.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that tells me the good people, not that some of those people aren't good that are on the streets, because some of them are just hard luck. I get it, but the percentages of them most of them are on drugs and committing crimes. I'm tired of seeing the good people leave.
Right.
Okay, and I can't blame them because there hasn't been any action taken on this board in a long time to want to make those people stay here and fight.
Do you believe those guys are Republicans?
Unless they've changed the definition, no.
Well, I guess I should. I guess I should. I don't really necessarily like Republicans either, especially in light of Mitch McConnell and this budget thing, and he's going to get slammed for that. I should say conservatives. Do you think they're conservative?
No, they're not conservatives. I don't see that.
And do you know who's been supporting them? You know about the Marxist thing and all that stuff, right? So that's another thing. You're going back to the DA and the crime. So we just saw a prosecution of how many $1 million were spent on a low-level misdemeanor. I mean, I heard it in from Terry Raposa a little bit about that. But I mean, do you think we need a new DA?
I would have to look at it, but from what I know at this point, yes.
Okay.
We definitely need a new health director.
I was going to say, do you think that we need to clean house on maybe several different levels within the county?
I do believe
to make
so.
a difference.
I think you have to go through them one by one, and then if it's a choppy block, then let's do it.
I think that's what they're afraid of too. Is that
absolutely
they're afraid of people getting in there and looking at the budget and saying, because we should be fiscally conservative at this point in light of everything that's going on, but government becomes self-serving at some point. I mean, that's why the founders said we need to have limited government, because if you're not careful, it'll chew you up.
And we're definitely there.
And back to the money, when they got the money before the CARES money and all that, why did they have to give it to another agency and pay them to distribute that money to the businesses in the county? I'm sorry, you got people at the board level that are making pretty good money that they could have handled that?
Seemed like that was wrong.
Yeah.
And I haven't studied it. I haven't looked into that in much detail, but that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean, they paid them, whatever the amount was when we got those other
they got like $300,000 to dole out $3 million.
All right. So my point being that $300,000 could have been spent doing other things. Those people at the board level, they're making good money.
Yeah.
It's not like they're not.
Well, another topic I think would be positive too is we used to have a pretty streamlined process for concealed weapons, and those permits now they take a long time to go through. We need to get back to where that's 30 days or less.
Why do you think that is? We got a new sheriff in town.
A new sheriff.
I know. They're not elected anymore.
Yeah, and that's got to get back to where that's elected. That's an elected position. That should never be on the supervisors. And let them go out in the public. Let them campaign. Let's hear what they're about. So the people can vote who we want to be as our representation.
The tide is rising, and conservatives are starting to realize you can't avoid this. You can't. Yeah. It's like running for the board in general. I mean, I've just shied away from politics my whole life. I don't want to be a part of that ilk.
Yeah.
But in order for this to work, we all have to be involved in whatever way that we can. I'd make a terrible candidate. I'd never run, because the first time I threw an F-bomb out there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I'm going to speak my mind. I'm sure I'm going to rub some people the wrong way. I'll try to keep the F-bombs out of it.
Yeah.
But we are human at the end of the day, and I do have my opinions, and they're strong, and they're my beliefs, and I'm going to stand behind them all the way. And I think I've proven that.
Do you know? I have a question. Do you know who Shepard J. Green is?
No.
He's the chief of psychiatry in Shasta County. Do you know how much money he makes?
Is he the one that makes $300,000 a year?
It's $364,700, and this is actually from 2019.
And is that an empty position?
I don't even know what it is.
I don't think that position is filled at the moment. I could be wrong.
Maybe. All I know is this is from 2019, so maybe the plug got pulled. They pulled the plug.
I don't know. And that's one of the things we got to go in there and look at and see where's the money going. Okay, where's it going? Where's that $360,000 if he's not?
If he's not there, right. where did it go if he left?
I know, isn't it amazing?
Why is he getting paid that much if he
still
is
there? And the reason I bring it up is we need to find out. Is that guy even still there? Yeah. I mean, he's the highest guy in the county. Yeah. Does anybody even heard of him?
Or maybe they created another position and moved him over.
I don't know. But why are our department heads making as much as LA County?
I'm looking at Randstrom. Okay, so we got Shepard is the first one in line. Do you know who the next one is?
Probably Randstrom.
Randstrom.
Yeah.
284,000 and some change with benefits and everything.
Unreal.
It's and
what's the medium income probably in Shasta County?
I think it's
30, like 38,000 or 40.
It might be 40, 45 at the most.
Whatever. Yeah. Okay, a little bit of difference there.
I get the specialized and all that, but no,
not that specialized.
No. That's the corruption. We got to stop.
Well, okay, so I'll give you the first 5.
Okay,
so we've got Shepard Green if he's still there. So if Shepard Green's not there, and we had current data, is Karen Ramstrom the most highly paid person in the county?
Could be.
Pat Minturn.
How much?
Which is what?
He's at 2.6. This is again 2019, so we haven't got updated on it. But that's 269,000 with pay and benefits, and then we've got Deidre E. Amaro.
And what do they do? What does?
Well, okay, so Karen Ramstrom, health officer.
Yeah.
Patrick Minturn, public works. Deidre E. Amaro, I don't know have any idea who she is a forensic pathologist at 269,000. Then we've got, 267,000, and then we've got Donnell Ewart, who is the HHSA director. I guess assistant director. I thought that Karen was the director. I don't know so that's 263,000, and then the last one I'm going to talk about is the attorney in the meetings, which is Ruben Cruz, and he's at 258,000. You could probably give these guys a 20% raise, just guessing and throwing a shot in the dark between 19 now and now.
Yeah. And back to my point earlier, Cruz could have handed out the money and saved the county $300,000 easy with getting paid $264,000. I'm just saying.
I don't know how it works. Maybe I should give the next one, which is Tracy L. Neal, Chief Probation Officer, $243,000, and this just goes on.
That's
crazy.
And on.
Yeah. No, you need to go department head by department head. Well, apparently some assistants in there as well. I mean,
each department, right? Just start at the department alphabet. A, B, C.
This terrifies. This is why I think there's been such huge pushback against the recall, is because these guys are terrified of what is coming if we get control, or the people get. Actually, it's not we. It's we the people get control.
Yeah. We the people.
Well, and unfortunately, I gave a small inkling of possibly running in 2020 for the supervisor seat. Looking back on it, I wish I would have.
Right.
But
hindsight's always 2020.
Hindsight's 2020.
But you are now.
But I'm here now because I realize something has to be done. And a part of this, I'm going to back up my story a little bit more. I spent this summer, half the summer, working in Idaho, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, up in Coeur d'Alene, with the idea that we're moving to Idaho in the fall. I'm done with Shasta County. I'm done with California. And how many people are saying that? I'm sure you all know people who have left the state. Right?
I've said it.
So I went up there and I realized that it's a zoo up there. People are moving to that area from Seattle, from Portland, from California.
They're going to turn it into what it is.
They're turning it into what it is here. Tyranny's there just as it is here. Yes, they have some more rights. You can open carry. You can do all the things we have some rights to do. So that is better. But it was just such a fight. It's just so many people, and they don't have the infrastructure. And I could go on with reasons why I chose to just, come back here. We're going to stick it out, and we'll see what happens. Then I started going to the supervisor meetings and realizing
we can turn the whole thing
District
around.
2 is screwed. We have to make some changes.
Yes, absolutely. And it's across the country. I think people are
It is
waking
across
up.
the country. Look at Virginia. Look at some of the racists in New Jersey. You're seeing people, you're seeing the silent people who always stay silent and we don't ever say anything, right? Well, we do, but you know what I'm saying. We don't get vocal. We're not going to burn the cities and rioting and all of that.
But we're making actions.
But now you're seeing people like myself get up off the couch, but we're getting up and out, and we're going to start making some noise, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it right. We're not going to go burn a building. We're not going to do that. But we're going to get on these kind of shows and everything else. And we're going to plead our case, and we're going to change this county, and we're going to change the state and the country.
Right. And that's where it has to start. We all know that, it took us a little bit to figure it out, I think, way back in the beginning, like when the Tea Party started and everything. Right. We were going, to the federal level and trying to look at that. Exactly. And we've learned a lot over the years and realized, hey, if we got to bring it back locally, and this can be done not just here, but across the board.
I want to play one more clip if we have to go a minute or so longer. But before we play the clip, I want to
thank you for coming in.
Thank you for coming in. We want to have you back if possible. I want to go to the clip on. Let me see if I've got it right here. I'll tell you which one before we get out of here. That one and 103. But before we play that, have you got anything else you want to add? And then
how do people get a hold of you?
Yes.
Get your information out there real quick. How do they get a hold of you if they want to support you or ask you questions?
Give you some money.
I'll take all the money I can. I do have a donation set up at Plumas Make for Tim Garman for Supervisor District 2 2022. They can go there and donate. They can send a check in or whatever. I haven't got I'm going to get a Facebook page up for it and a website link now that I got all the official paperwork stamped from the clerk's office. I did that this morning. So stay tuned on that part. You'll definitely have to have me back. But I am legal to take the donations.
Have you got a Facebook account?
Just my own personal one. They can find me at Tim Garman.
Okay.
And what about a contact phone number or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to call me. It's my cell phone is 530-357-4200.
So I'll friend you on Facebook, and then I'll try to get that out because I can get your number there.
Yeah,
I have a ton of contacts. I'm up to 6,000 right now.
But I will eventually set up a Facebook page just for this. But I am open to. I will respond to people.
All right.
Like I said before, I want to hear what people have to say.
So with this clip has nothing to do with anything we just talked about,
except it's disgusting.
Other than these people are crazy. Okay,
crazy isn't even the word.
This is Texas, I believe, and they're talking about abortions. And I'm not trying to do a pro or a con thing on abortions here, even though I have my own personal beliefs. But what I want to illustrate is that these people have an agenda, and reality doesn't come into the play. I mean, when you listen to the questions, they should be straightforward questions. Is he trying to trap her? That's going to be, they're trying to trap me, but. I guess reality doesn't matter. Go ahead and play it, Eli, and then we'll be done.
These are simple yes or no questions. Is it okay to murder a 10-year-old child?
No one should be forced to remain pregnant if they don't want to.
Is it okay to murder a 10-year-old child? Yes or no?
I am deeply offended that you would call me a murderer.
I'm not calling you a murderer, ma'am. I'm asking you a question. Is it okay to murder a 10-year-old child? This is about your organization's position. Would they say yes or no?
My organization's position is that no one should be forced to remain pregnant if they don't want to, and any abortion restrictions are.
Okay. Let me answer the question for you. I'm assuming that you do not advocate for the murder of children. Okay. What about a toddler? I assume you would say it's not okay to murder a toddler either, a 2-year-old. What about a newborn? Let me ask you this: the position of the organization. Are you for partial birth abortion? Is that the position of the organization? Would you support that?
What my organization is for is to support the people who need abortion care, who are lied to when they are sent to alleged pregnancy resource centers that lie to patients
would that
and tell them.
Would that apply to a woman who is 9 months pregnant?
I disagree with the premise of your question.
Would you support the abortion of a late-term unborn child?
Anybody should have the right to have an abortion at any time and for any reason.
That's what I need. So here's the thing. I'm just trying to understand the logical fallacy. So if we would not support, and I mean this sincerely, and this is not for you personally, I'm talking about the organization. You support an advocacy organization. If it is not okay to take the life of a small child outside the womb, why is it okay to take the life of a small child 9 inches up the birth canal, inside the womb? What is the distinction? Help me understand the distinction of that.
I don't understand the question.
If you would not support the murder of a small child, right? No one would. No civilized person would. Why do we support the taking of a life of a child right before they're delivered?
No civilized person should support forced pregnancy.
Does abortion take the life of something that's alive?
No one should be forced to remain pregnant against their will.
Ma'am, you're not answering my questions. Let me ask the doctor on this screen. Is it okay, or let me ask you this, does abortion kill something that's alive, take the life of something that's alive?
Sir, the way that you're asking these questions actually intentionally invite violence and harassment to both of us, to all of us.
I'm sorry, that is an absurd response. You're a medical doctor. Tell me if if there's an unborn child in the womb or not. Are we killing something that's alive? When you dismember something in the womb, is that a human being or not? It's a living being, yes or no?
I am here to talk about medical care.
Yes, this is a direct question about medical care, ma'am. You positioned yourself as an expert on the issue. Are we taking a life or not? Is it a life, yes or no?
What you are discussing is not the reality of how abortion care is delivered in this country.
If we were in a courtroom, I would say that that's non-responsive. And I think we all know why you don't want to respond to that, because the obvious fact here is that you're taking a human life. It's a small human life. It's a human being. Let me ask you, doctor, should abortion be allowed because of the sex of the preborn child, in your medical opinion?
I do not believe that there should be any restrictions on the bodily autonomy.
All right. So hold on. So if someone gets a pregnancy test and they say it's a little girl and I want a little boy, it's okay to abort that child?
I have never seen a pregnancy test that tells you this.
Would it be okay or not? If someone has an ultrasound, they know have one sex and they want to abort it, is that okay?
Time of the gentleman has expired. Ms. Garcia.
I'll just note that no one answered the questions. Thank you. Yield back.
I stand corrected. That's Congress.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. How bizarre is that?
So, but my point of that, it's absolute denial of reality. I mean, at least be honest about what you support. Say what it is. You can say, I don't believe it's a human being, something.
Yeah.
But don't sit there and dance. So that's the kind of people that I'm seeing that we're dealing with, is that reality means nothing to them. The only thing that matters is their agenda.
It's the agenda.
Yeah.
And then to say that you're not in reality, it's like, whoa.
I think we're at the end now. Thanks for joining us for Sovereign Mind podcast, Tim Garman. And we will see you soon.
Absolutely.
And we'll get you on Facebook and all the above. And then I guess we'll see everybody next week. Have a great
All right. Have a great week.
Thank you.